In this short video, I will show you how to change the Betta's water and clean its bowl. You need very few supplies to accomplish this. First, you will need paper towels to clean up spills, which should be very few. Next, you will need spring water. Very important not to get distilled water, and it's better not to use tap water that has been treated with chemicals that you buy at the pet store. Do yourself a favor, keep it easy, and just buy spring water. The important thing also about the spring water is that you keep it at the same temperature as the room where the Betta is located. The next thing you will need is a cheap pitcher that you can buy at any sort of Dollar Tree, any dollar store. That would be this back here. The other thing that you might find helpful is a container such as this. This is the one that the Betta actually came in. And you need one Betta and a dirty Betta bowl. You can see that it's dirty. This is a male Betta, not that it matters, but his name is Powder Blue. I like to keep a small lid like the one the Betta came in. In this case it's this. It serves a few purposes. The main one in my experience is to keep the Betta from jumping out of the bowl in case it is surprised if somebody accidentally slams down on the counter where the Betta bowl is located. It has happened, and this helps minimize that experience. Very unpleasant. So I'm just going to set this aside for now. This next step involves pouring water from the Betta's bowl into this pitcher without disturbing the bottom poopy part, if possible. So if you notice, I was able to very quickly pour the part of the water that's still relatively clean without debris in the pitcher along with the Betta, leaving the dirty water, the poopy water, behind. At this point, I'm going to take the bowl with dirty water to a sink. Powder Blue will just chill for now. So using very hot water, I'm going to first rinse off both sides of this lid. I'm not going to use any soap. I'm also going to make sure that my hands don't have any soap, cologne, or lotions, things like that. I'm just going to place it in the rack to air dry. Alright, so it fell in. This is a good thing. Bad, but good. There might be soap on the bottom here. Probably is, because people wash their dishes in this thing, so I need to wash it again. Okay, this time I'm going to be a bit more careful. Place it in here. Next, I'm going to pour out the poopy water. I'm using one hand now. Normally I would use two, but normally I don't film myself doing this. And if you just pour that straight down the drain, out of courtesy of others, we'll use this for other purposes. Just right down the drain. I'm going to fill this now with very hot water. No soap, no chemicals, nothing else, just very hot water. That water water is actually too hot for my hand because that's the next thing that's going to go inside of this. So I need to cool it off just a little bit for me. I'm going to stick my hand inside again, no soap, no water, and I'm just going to use my hand to rub the inside, any debris, any stuff that might be growing on the inside here. Might be some algae. I'm going to even get down, I'm going to lift this out so you can see what I'm doing here. But on the bottom of this tank, you're going to see that I'm going to use my finger all around the edges, loosen up any nasty particles, pour it back down the drain. I'm going to do this a few times until I feel like all of the debris is removed from the bowl. Again, the most important thing is you don't want to use any chemicals, you do not want to use any soap, and the only time you use a paper towel is to dry the outside of this container. You do not use paper towels on the inside because there's debris that will come off. Some of these paper towels are scented. It's not good for your betta. So water is going to be going back into this bowl. All you need to make sure is that you pour out as much as you can. I'm going to push pause here so I can finish cleaning this bowl and I will dry it. So now I have a clean betta bowl. You'll notice if I look up very closely to this, there is a ring of what looks like some sort of debris. That's actually probably just some sort of deposits, mineral deposits. It's not going to hurt your betta. Also keep in mind that this little lid is probably what caused it. So you won't even notice it when this is on. You might see it now. When this is on, you won't see it. And so again, I just dried the outside of this bowl with a paper towel. I did not place anything but hot water in my hand to remove the dirty water and dirty debris. I'm going to take this off for a moment. Placing that upside down. And so I'm confident that this water is the same temperature as this water. I've had them in the same location and I'm not worried about it. If you feel more comfortable buying an inexpensive thermometer at Petco or someplace like that that takes the temperature of water, you could do that. That's a little bit overboard. As long as the water's in the same location as the betta, you should be fine. So I'm going to very gently pour the betta into the bowl. Now, I don't want to just pour it in like this because I don't want the betta to go smashing to the bottom of this glass bowl, so I'm going to push pause so I can do that. And when I do that, I'm going to hold this at an angle and then just gently pour the betta in. So if you notice, this is really a partial water change. You want to keep some of the betta's original water with the betta, unless there's some reason why, if the betta was sick or some other reason why you might need to take less water out. But this is not a situation where you're ever going to take all of the betta's water out and replace it with new water. That's not good for the betta. So if you notice, it's probably a little bit more than half of a water change. And again, this is the part of the water, the old water, that does not have poop floating in it or other debris. Also, in this video, I will not actually need to use this cup. The reason why that comes in handy is if you've disturbed the water too much when you're pouring the betta from its bowl into this pitcher and you are unable to keep the water from getting disturbed, you may need to use this to let the water settle down, or after the water settles down, then you can coax the betta to the top of the pitcher and then gently pour him out with the cleaner water. But not the case here. I've been doing this for a long time now, so that is something I don't need to do. I am now just going to then go to this spring water. And I'm going to gently pour this in. letting it hit the side of the bowl as much as possible. Bettas don't like current. Normally I would hold the bowl at an angle while I do this, but he's okay. I'm just doing it very slowly. Just making sure it just keeps on the inside, hitting the wall as much as possible to minimize stress on the Betta. Oop, got a little spillage there. You'll also notice that I don't add plants, I don't add ornaments or anything in the Betta's bowl. Not only is it unnecessary, a lot of these products are actually bad for the Betta. And so where you see advertisements that sell bowls with plants hanging out of them, that's not good for the Bettas. Bettas don't eat plants, they are carnivores. Now, you see here, I have filled this too much. I really want to have about at least an inch space or so. So it turns out I am going to need to take a little bit of water out. So I'm going to take that off. I'm going to set this down, and I am just going to see if this thing will fit in here. Okay, so that's a bit on the big side. I guess you could use a styrofoam cup. And you just gently pour some of this water out. And so that's all good right there. And then I can wipe up the outside of the bowl with a paper towel, and it will all be good. The Betta likes to have a temperature of like 72 to 80 degrees. The worst thing you can do is to overfeed the Betta. This is the food that I like to use, Betta Biogold. I like to just cut this thing open and pour the entire contents into an old, I guess what is RX, prescription bottle, and keep it in a place where I know where it's going to be. I feed the Betta 5 pellets every other day, or it depends. For these instructions, I have said for 5 pellets for 4 days per week. So that's probably the easier rule of thumb, 4 pellets 4 days a week. So like if you did Monday through Thursday and you skip Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that is completely fine. Do not believe any of the stuff that you will read in the stores about feeding Bettas. They just want to sell you stuff. They will sell you all kinds of treats for your Betta and all kinds of remedies that your Betta does not need. At most, your Betta may need something called Melafix. It is in a blue bottle, and I believe I have some I can show you. This is Melafix. You can buy it at pet stores. Again, you really aren't going to need this that much, if at all. It really only happens if you see that there are wounds on the fish, if there's damage to the fins. That's probably a sign, though, that you need to change the water. You are probably more than fine changing the Betta's water once a month, and that is provided that you're not overfeeding the Betta. I have gone with some Bettas as an experiment, going as long as 2 months, and they have been just fine, but I recommend doing it every month. Again, another bad thing you can do is to change the Betta's water too much, too often. It stresses them out. It's unnecessary. And if you have some sort of tasteful sign or something like "do not tap on the glass" underneath this area where my 2 fingers are, It covers up the poopy section, and it looks just fine. Finally, I would really say the last thing, the other horrible thing you can do is to put a Betta in a window. Betta should never be in a window. It should be in an area where there's no direct sunlight, where there's not draft, where there's not loud traffic or countertops where there's going to be a lot of loud banging and such. And aside from the obvious of not putting two Bettas in the same bowl, you're good to go. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will provide you with my info outside of this video.